Cathy Crocco is our next reader. I'm going to read a short piece. Sorry, I'm not used to doing this kind of thing.
A little closer to the mic. I don't think you really
do. No, I don't need this.
There you go.
I'm used to being on the other side of things. So I call this the life upstairs. It would not stop blaring so loudly that the whole neighborhood could hear. The broken car alarm never seemed to go off, even after the owner came out. We called the police, and that was when we realized the car alarm was only a small part of the problem. Instead of hearing a dispatcher on the other line, answering with the familiar, if not entirely reassuring words, "This is 911. What is your emergency?" we heard a busy signal. And then, after some time, the phone went dead. That was when we decided to look outside to see what had caused the car alarm to go off in the first place. "Can you see it?" she asked, craning her neck towards the direction of the sound. "I think it's over there," I said, starting to get nervous for the first time. "On the other side of the street." "Oh, I think I see it." "Oh my," she said, and sat down, suddenly dropping to the floor like she had just witnessed the end of life as we knew it. "What did you see?" I asked, while straining to see it myself. Finally, I caught a glimpse of the car that was constantly going off. It was a scene right out of Night of the Living Dead. There were dozens of people just stumbling around with blank looks on their faces who were constantly bumping into the car, causing the alarm to go off. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for that. Maybe they escaped from the mental... Before I could get the words out of my mouth, the crowd stumbled closer to us, and we could hear a loud moaning sound that was loud enough to drown out the alarm. Low moaning sound that was loud enough to drown out the car alarm. "This is not good," I said, tumbling down on my tendency to understate everything. "Yeah, you think?" my new wife asked sarcastically. We'd only been married 24 hours, and zombies were taking over the world. Our corner of the world, at least. We didn't know yet if this was happening everywhere or not. Yesterday had been a much better day in retrospect. We should have seen it as a sign of times to come. Your wedding is supposed to be the happiest day of your life, but there was too much drama between our families and too many unfortunate accidents to really call it happy. If I really wanted to talk about one of the happiest days of our lives, it would probably be a random Tuesday or a hike to Starved Rock. From the very beginning, our wedding day was fraught with disaster, and not the usual mom hates dad because they're divorced or half our family hates us because we're unconventional. Most of the people in our family were beyond that crap. Not to say that there weren't plenty of people who did care, they just didn't say anything or didn't come. No, it was quite a bit worse than that. We woke up to the sound of the phone ringing. I looked outside, and without even reaching for my phone to check the time, I knew it was bad news. It was still pitch black. My fiancé reached for her phone and answered it. "Hello? What do you mean Mom can't come to the wedding?" "No, we can't just postpone it. People traveled hundreds of miles to be here." "Well, we'll just have to have a smaller ceremony later. We already waited an extra day for her. Just go ahead and get on the plane without her. She's a grown woman. She can take care of herself for a few days." "Goodbye. We'll see you soon." "Who was that?" David. He said that Mom argued with the TSA agent because she left her ID at home and didn't make the plane this morning. Are you sure you don't want to wait until she can get here? No, this is the second plane she's missed in 2 days. If she really wanted to come, she would be here already. That was only the beginning of what was ultimately the worst wedding I've ever been to. If we knew that getting married was basically going to usher in the apocalypse, we might not have bothered. But that was before. We had no idea what was going to come next. We established a fort and then spent the days holed up in our apartment, hoping that the doors would hold and they would never make it up the stairs. Even though we soon learned that zombies were not smart enough to walk upstairs, even though the doors were not able to hold at all. They didn't even last the first week. On the third day, we discovered that one of our neighbors had turned, and he kept trying to barge through the barricade that we had built across the front door. It was like a scene straight from The Shining. He hadn't completely finished turning and kept yelling at us to come out. Eventually, he managed to break a hole in the door, but Stephanie found a baseball bat and managed to subdue him before he could attack us. It was eerie looking at our neighbor lying on the ground. Knowing what a sexist pig he had been made it a little better. His awful jokes, including this non-stop picking on me because Stephanie made more money than I did, had finally been laid to rest. But no matter how big of a pig he had been in real life, nobody deserved this. Our zombie neighbor gave us the opportunity and the incentive to check on the other zombies downstairs. And that's when we found out they hadn't figured out how to climb the stairs and were just milling about at the bottom of the stairway. At least we were safe until our supplies ran out. We started to create a little routine. One of us would wake up, turn the gas on, yay for gas stoves, light the pilot, start boiling water for coffee or oatmeal or whatever we could scrounge together before the other one woke up. We were trying to keep the rest of the day as normal as possible. We took showers, brushed our teeth, got ready for the day, just as if there were not hordes of zombies running around the town. For the first couple of days, there were a few TV and radio stations working. The internet stayed up as long as we had electricity, which was about 2 weeks. Gas and water was pretty self-contained. Hopefully this would be over before everything ran out. If not, we would have to figure out a way to get downstairs and hunt for supplies. In the beginning, we watched the news, checked in with friends and loved ones. Facebook had a new check-in feature to let people know that you were safe from the zombie apocalypse. And we just generally found ways to occupy our time. Most of the people we knew were safe, fortunately, but Stephanie had an old boss and some classmates who were missing, and I had a very distant cousin who was a confirmed casualty. Caught up on our Netflix queue. I finally learned how to bake bread. We tried to start a windowsill garden, finished all the food in the fridge and the freezer, just in case. And we had lots of sex. We might not have been able to make it to London like we planned, but at least we had the alone time we wanted. About a weekend, something caused the power to go out and it never went back on. That was when reality started to set in, and we realized how awful and uncertain everything was. We made a few last phone calls and decided to turn off our phones and only use them in an emergency. There was no guarantee that they would work at all for long, but it didn't make any sense to waste the battery. After the power went out, we filled our time with less fun, newlywed couples, snow type and activities, and more survival and trying not to panic about the possible impending doom type activities. Tried to learn how to make bows and other weapons. I made the baseball bat into an even better weapon by covering it with nails. Indoor gardens and things suddenly became much more important. A few weeks later, we were practicing some kickboxing and sparring when I heard a ping from the other room. Stephanie ran ran into the other room to get her phone, and my phone began pinging like crazy too. Suddenly, we were getting hundreds of notifications from people who tried to text us between the time the power went out and now. I quickly scanned through the last dozen before settling on a new alert. CDC confirms containment of the virus that caused sufferers to exhibit zombie-like symptoms. The disease, which affected citizens in most of the major cities around the globe, was quickly halted after blockades and quarantines were hastily enforced. Few citizens were affected directly as the virus was quickly contained, but the blockades and work stoppages eventually caused most essential services to be cut off. Citizens in quarantine are advised that they can now return to their everyday lives. We both ran down the stairs and outside, where hundreds of people were now rejoicing in their newfound freedom. We looked around and saw many familiar faces. There was a lot of destruction to the neighborhood, and it would take weeks, if not months, to clean up. But it appeared as if the zombie uprising had never happened.